You know, a couple years ago, Dr. Dre gave the commencement address at the University of Southern California. And he got up there and he was like, yeah, yeah. And everybody applauded. It was great. So, it was the most Dr. Dre thing that ever
Speaking
happened.
of commencement speeches, did you see what happened to Betsy Devos when she spoke at some black college and they fucking booed her off this? They didn't boo her off the stage, but it booed her so much that the principal of the school, or not the principal of the school, but the president was like, if you guys don't stop booing her, we're going to cancel the graduation.
What? So what? It was an HBC?
Yeah.
Why the fuck would they have her talk at an HBC?
Let me find the school so I'm not just...
That doesn't make any sense
Well, first off, what administrator would think she would be a good person to invite to any...
That's on an administrator. Like, why, because she's got an important position? Like, come on, man. You know, she's part of a cabinet that has one black person in it.
Yep.
No, at least invite the good Dr. Ben Carson in.
I think the general rule of thumb with this is if somebody is in office, like unless they're the very top of the food chain, like a governor or a president,
I've never heard of this
best not
school.
To do that.
Bethune-Cookman?
Bethune-Cookman? I've heard of it. I didn't know it was an HBC.
Yeah, it says Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. Some stood and turned their backs to her, at times heckled or drowned out her remarks.
You want to know how I know Bethune-Cookman? Because on Madden, when you draft fake players, sometimes it says they're from that school. That's the only reason why I've ever heard of that.
So then it's real then, so it's legit.
No, if it's on Madden,
it's legit.
It's a real
It sounds
thing.
like something that Key and Peele probably referenced on one of their famous East versus West videos,
Those are
too.
great.
So, yeah.
President Edison Jackson interrupted DeVos' remarks to issue a warning to graduates. If this behavior continues, your degrees will be mailed to you, he said. Choose which way you want to go. You know what's really annoying about this? And when I was thinking about this whole process,
who's leading the chorus of booze?
I don't know.
The Carpatron Duke Marriott.
So, okay.
That was pretty. What I was gonna say is, you spend all this time since you're a little kid. I want to go to college. I want to do this. Like we had some pretty cool commencement speakers. We had fucking...
Well, SCA, we had Kevin Fahey. So,
exactly.
So that was a shit. But
you go through all this and you have Betsy DeVos as your commencement speaker?
I mean, they're not USC, bro. So, I mean...
I'm just saying, like, that's so disappointing. I would just not want to graduate
I bet you
at
she
that
was,
point.
Like, so far down the list. They were, like, calling people, and people were like, Bethune-Cookman? What the fuck school is that? I never heard of it.
Or Edison Jackson was, like, low-key having a bet with all the staff. Like, all right... Let's bring in the Betsy, and we'll put a bet on who's going to, what's going to happen. Are the students going to boo her? Is she going to get killed? Like, let's throw in bets. Let's see what's going to happen. And then... Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
You know, well, if they wanted to do that, though, they could have gone the whole way and invited, like, Milo Yiannopoulos or somebody. You know, like somebody who... Or Ann Coulter.
I'd be okay with Milo being my commencement speaker.
I think
it would be
Milo
unique.
is still hiding in his shell.
He is.
So
he got that, those molesting comments really got him.
He messed himself up. You can talk about anything except touching kids, man. You can get away with just about anything.
Unless it's like... people who touch kids go to jail. You can talk about it in that context.
Or you're Louis C.K. and you say it in an SNL monologue.
And then it's okay because you're funny, because you're like a middle-aged fat guy, overweight guy.
Anyway, we've already started the show, and we want to reintroduce the one and only Luke Phillips. Thanks for coming on. And since we're talking about...
Thanks for having me on. Always an honor.
Since we're talking about college stuff here... We came across some crazy stuff. What is going on with Penn State, man? Did you hear about what happened there?
I actually didn't. I've been living under a rock for the last couple days.
All right, man. So
in Kuwait, actually.
In Kuwait?
Under a rock.
Oh.
That went right over my head. Was that a philosophy joke?
No, that was a geography joke.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What happened at Penn State?
So, this fraternity... Big surprise.
I'm trying to find the article.
Killed one of their pledges because they drank him to death.
Oh my god!
So the guy was wasted when they like the toxicology said he was 0.4, almost 0.4.
So this happened on February 4th. The Beta Theta Pi fraternity. Let's see. So this is this. I'm going to read a very brief synopsis. Piazza, 19-year-old sophomore and pledge at Penn State's Beta Pi fraternity, died on February 4th after he fell down the stairs during a pledge ceremony at the house on the night of February 2nd. Fraternity members did not call 911 until the morning of February 3rd, about 12 hours after Piazza's fall, according to a report on the grand jury's investigation. Piazza's death was a, quote, direct result of traumatic brain injuries, close quote, according to the forensic pathologist. Now, of course, that's bad in and of itself. But here's where it got worse, and this is the reason why I sent it to Gian. Because that in and of itself, it happens. People fucking drink too much, whatever. But once you start to uncover the circumstances, and here's the follow-up. The 8 or 9 full color and full broadcast quality cameras at Beta Theta Pi showed that Piazza's skin had turned gray by the morning of the 911 call. Now, what I'm going to, it goes into detail. Basically, the cameras recorded the entire incident post the falling down the stairs. Like, they don't have that, but they have, how the students handled it. And basically, it's 12 hours worth of them, being nonchalant about it, not caring, trying to cover it up. There's literally... Because it's a time, whoever has this video has obviously dissected it to write this article. They've seen it or something.
It goes hour by hour, things that happen.
He fell off the couch, and then they threw him on the couch, and then they punched him in the stomach.
I mean, what I see, and this is fucked up for me of saying it, but the guy drank too much, and these are 19 to 21-year-old kids.
Who are too selfish.
Well, it's not even that they're selfish. They were probably just he's just being a fucking pussy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's selfish. They're worried about having a good time.
They don't realize that this guy was in serious.
And then
it's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking
I thought about this all morning.
When you were a sophomore, how much of this shit were you thinking about? I mean, I don't know how much you partied at school. I mean, that's part of the thing. You were the band, so the band is a fraternity in itself.
Yeah,
and I've heard stories about the things you guys do.
Well, none of those stories are true, by the way.
Right.
They have no basis in objective
This
reality.
is all alleged.
All alleged.
Yeah. So here's my thing. I think it's okay to have fun. I think it's okay to be stupid and crazy. I mean, that's what people do. You're not going to stop it. But I think if you're not breeding a culture of responsibility in that, nonetheless, and we can talk about what that means. It doesn't mean, stop it after everybody's had one drink. It doesn't mean that. But if you don't breed within these organizations, and it has to be within the organizations themselves, a kind of notion that you're responsible for your fellows here, and especially if it's a fraternity,
right?
And something where there's a brotherhood kind of oath kind of thing. Now you said it was a pledge, so I guess it hadn't gone that far, but that doesn't justify.
Well, the pledge ceremony, so that means they were at the end.
Oh,
so it was, or just started the initiation process. Now
the reason why I bring up their age is because they're getting charged with involuntary manslaughter, and not one of them. It's up to 18 or 19 of them are getting charged with that. Whoever was on camera dealing with him
because they didn't help him out. And this is what I've honestly been thinking about it all morning, because I'm going to say this, and hopefully it makes sense. I know people like Gian's describing. And maybe they're not like that now, but they were when they were that age, where it was you fucking whatever, you read stupid, just whatever, you're ruining the time, go fucking chill out, we're gonna party, whatever, right? And then the thing is, though, it's what you just said, which is there was no one there who had a conscience, basically, who wasn't thinking. That's why I said selfish. They weren't thinking about anything else other than having a good time, because you can clearly see, based on the way that they described it, and that they've watched the video of this, you would be able to tell that this person is not right. Right. He was throwing up. He was well,
I don't know if I would agree with that there, because he started changing colors when it was too late. But
I don't know, because
everyone's drunk. Everyone's been drinking all night, and they see a guy puking and fucking passed out.
But that goes to what he was saying, because I was in a fraternity, and whether I enjoyed my experience or not is irrelevant.
Right. You were in a fraternity.
It doesn't matter. It's a trade. It's registered in the Greeks. It's a real fraternity. It's been around since 1936. Regardless if it was on the row or not, it's another different story.
It's also a co-ed fraternity.
It's a professional society, yes, technically. Okay. But anyway, hold on.
Gian, this is a somber issue.
but I say all that to say, responsibility was always, fun was foremost the most important thing. Getting drunk, whatever the fuck. But there was always a few people, were designated they're not drinking on this party. They're not, because they make sure that if something goes wrong, Like, let's be realistic. Dude
Well,
fell down the fucking stairs.
No, that's fucked up. No, definitely. I'm not
Regardless,
I'm not
like-
saying these guys are smart and they did a good job, but what you're right now, you're using your example is you were in basically a film club.
No.
Yes.
I'm not.
No. You were in.
Okay.
This is much different.
I was in the Trojan marching band. Okay, Trojan marching band is a fraternity band any means, and we had the same kind of thing that he's describing.
Right.
So.
But this is the difference is this is a bro fraternity.
Sure, but don't.
These are like jockey dudes that lift weights, and they have a completely different mentality than the people in your fraternity and the people in the band.
So then don't associate it with fraternities. Associate it with that type of people.
That's what the fraternity is, though. Like that's the majority of fraternities are that.
Unfortunately, but you can't say that.
You're the misnomer. You're not
Sure.
the misnomer. You're the outlier. You're not the.
Well, Gian, I think I see what you're saying, but I think even in that circumstance, there's still a kind of sensibility of responsibility that you need to breed in those kinds of things. And I think if you talk to anybody who does Greek life officially, who's in any position of responsibility in Greek life, they'll tell you, oh yeah, we have all kinds of training programs. We make sure that anybody in a leadership position in an organization is doing this kind of stuff, and this kind of stuff is unacceptable. It would never happen in my house. kind of thing,
but it keeps happening all over the
and
nation.
that might mean that there needs to be a bigger conversation within the Greek community about this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
I think you're right. So
I'm defending.
I don't even know what we're arguing about right now.
I'm just defending my org. That's all. I am because I'm not going to strip it away. I'm not going to strip away the fact that it is a fraternity, regardless of whatever you want to throw to it. It still is one. Now, how you approach the situation is a personal thing. Because
it's not a traditional fraternity. That's my point. And you can't lump them into the same group of organizations when it's not the same. It
manifested itself away from the traditional fraternity because it's
Daniel,
been a long.
that might be one of the biggest compliments Gian just gave you. Actually,
sure.
So.
I'm just don't call it a club. It's a fraternity. Right. It's been a fraternity since 1936. Regardless, if it doesn't follow quote unquote traditions, as you just said, that's a compliment. Sure, it did drift away from that, but you can't take away the fact it's more of a fraternity than Beta Theta Pi or whatever. They're equals.
Okay, we're like getting way off topic here. Okay, because you got butthurt that I said that.
Yeah, because it's my one experience about being in fraternity life,
and I'm telling you that experience is not the same as a Greg Caruso experience.
I agree with you.
And not the Beta Theta Pi experience.
I'm not
completely different.
Sure, I'm agreeing with that.
So, this is actually an issue pretty close to my heart too. Yeah. Not on the fraternity side, but on the marching band side in particular. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story. I forget what year it was, but it was pretty recent. And I believe it was the Florida State University band. The Seminoles, right? The guys who have the Seminole Warrior coming and stand the field with it. Awesome stuff. But their band was a bunch of freaking dumbasses. No, I don't think it's a racist thing because the tribe loves it too, and they get a lot of money for it too. Oh yeah, but the in terms of the band though, I believe it was Florida State. Anybody listening, feel free to correct. But they killed a drum major candidate while they were hazing him.
Wow!
They beat him to death on the bus. I believe that's the story. I don't know if that's the full story. I would have to look at the details. It's been a while since I heard this. But so in the Trojan marching band, and I'm not going to give you guys any details because those aren't important. But it's there's always been, especially since about 2013. I forget what happened that prompted this, but there's always been this notion that like, okay, guys, you can have fun, you can do this kind of stuff, but don't fucking screw anybody up.
Right.
Because it's not just you that you're representing, it's the whole organization you're representing.
The school.
It's the school that you're representing. I mean, you guys saw the
alumni, everything.
The alumni, everything.
I mean... The Trojan band is the #1 band in the fucking nation, and that's
the greatest marching band in the history of the universe.
That's not that. Well, I'm just saying that's not hyperbole from me. I mean, it's known by everyone that this is the best band in college. You know,
but we are just as susceptible to bad behavior as anybody else. Stanford quote unquote band was banned for like 2 years or so because they were being idiots.
I mean, I've heard.
So this was on
terrible things about the Stanford band.
March 28th. This article 2014. And
it wasn't Florida State. It was Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, Florida A&M band member.
Sincere apologies for Florida State. Sincere
so
apologies.
the guy
Florida A&M, so that's agricultural and mechanical.
Okay.
Jesse Baskin was sentenced to 51 weeks in the county jail, 5 years of probation, and 300 hours of community service for participating in the beating of 26-year-old Robert Champion in November of 2011. Wow, that was a long time.
How the hell are you 26 and letting people beat on you in a band?
Let's not go too far into
This
that.
is a weird situation,
Yeah,
man. This
yeah.
is
Well, see, okay, now I'm not going to put you on the spot and make you comment on shit like that, but any sort, like that's the one thing that you can shit on it all you want, but the one thing that I give DK respect for is they didn't haze in this fashion. They didn't. Okay? And technically I'm not supposed to talk about this, but I don't give a fuck. There was hazing going on because that's a part of the experience. Otherwise, you know, that is a part of the experience. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but it was not like this.
Oh, yeah.
And they were very, very clear that the moment you feel uncomfortable, you can just walk away or whatever the fuck. And regardless if they give you permission to do that or whatever the fuck, the moment someone takes a swing at me or whatever the fuck, I'm gone.
Oh,
'Cause I don't
absolutely.
fuck with that. That's stupid. So the fact that, like, I mean, I don't know, maybe the guy who got beat up, it was the first time and it just went too far, or maybe it was reoccurring. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this story. I haven't read this article. I just brought it up to just, you know, fact check everything. But it's like, if that shit's happening, I'm not going to be in your band. I'm not going to be in whatever the fuck. I don't care if that means I'm going to be a snitch or just not say something. But, like, I'm not going to encourage people to join the band, and I'm not going to do it myself. Because, like, any organization that promotes that in any fashion, to me, is not a valid form of... And I'm sure there's people out there who are part of fraternities, quote-unquote real ones, who went through the experience and are like, oh, fucking pussies. Like, I went through it and I'm fine. I run this company or whatever. Like, this is just a bunch of snowflakes today who complain about everything. But at the same time, though, it was wrong back then.
I feel like when it comes to hazing, you know, I feel like hazing is supposed to be about humiliation. It's not supposed to be about inflicting pain.
Right.
It's not supposed to be about the drinking.
It's a know your place kind of thing.
Yeah, the
more than
drinking
anything
thing
else.
is stupid.
Yeah,
like
We
that just
never
doesn't
did
make
that. We
any
never did
sense.
that.
But, like, you know, like making you wear a certain outfit every day for a week, or, you know, making guys wear like a chicken suit or something.
we had to wear that beret around every
That's
Monday.
mild. That's
no,
mild.
but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, it is embarrassing. You're gonna get fucking clowned on, whatever. And some people grow to enjoy it. Some people don't. Like, so what I'm saying though is that's not. If you don't down this bottle of Jack before you, like, you're not gonna come inside.
Right.
You know, if you don't like do X, Y, or Z, then
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And stuff that really puts people in danger kind of thing just should never, ever be anywhere near the
just
realm of
common
possibility.
sense, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what the one takeaway from this is. I think if marijuana were legalized, I think there'd be less of these incidents. Because if you're fucking high off your mind, you're not going to want to be doing shit like
everyone's
that.
like, you have to smoke all these joints, but everyone will pass out like halfway through the third joint. They're just
That should be the
Well,
hazing. All
hold
right,
on,
smoke this whole joint, and then they're like, no, and then, like, before they know it, they're like having a great time. Everyone's laughing, and they passed out. Like, who gets hurt?
Well, I think with a lot of these organizations, there's probably a lot of that going on already.
But I'm just saying though,
Yeah.
like, as a whole, what affects people more, alcohol or marijuana? You might be more affected personally, like in terms of an experience with marijuana, but you're not gonna go out and
you're just gonna get really slow, maybe a little paranoid
And lazy.
and really fucking hungry.
and hungry.
I, Luke Nathan Phillips, do not by any means endorse the use of marijuana in any state where it is illegal or in the United States where it is still technically illegal. Let not this be used against me.
All right, fair enough.
No, this is all from me. I, Daniel Trujillo, whatever the fuck he said, support marijuana, whether it's legal or illegal, because it's not a fucking Schedule I drug or whatever it is.
I mean, how do you feel about Greek life in general? Like, you know, you're fresh out of, you know, you're about to be completed with your university career, collegiate career, you know, and you know, we're a few years removed now, but how do you feel about that whole thing? Like, I always, you know, I was a transfer and I was already quite a few years older than everybody else on campus, so I was not interested in that life at all. You know, I wasn't, you know, I had adult shit to do once I was doing my classes, so I couldn't take part even if I wanted to. But I was kind of like, you know, I always felt like Greek life was about buying friends, you know. Like, it always seemed that the kind of people that join those kind of organizations are people that have problems making friends, you know, and it's kind of...
Maybe not problems, but they like having... I don't know
It's
about
always
problems.
the same. It's a bunch of... For what I've come across, and this is like going to the gym every day and being around these guys,
Right.
it's small people. They are small men who need other people to make them feel big.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little structure to life. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with having an organization say that I am a part of this. This is a big part of my identity. These are my brothers. These are my sisters. These are, and this is the way of life we do, kind of thing. I think, in a way, I think a lot of professional fraternities are probably more capable of doing that in a healthy way than a lot of pure Greek fraternities.
Right.
Social fraternities, by the way, if we want to classify them, that would be considered a social fraternity.
Yes. In terms of like the actual nuts and bolts of Greek life, you know, I wasn't in it, so I can't speak to it. I had two brothers who were in Phi Tau, I think, at Ohio State, and they had only positive things to say, and they were very responsible kids in it.
Sorry, if I touched a nerve. I didn't mean to offend your brothers.
No, not at all. So, well, they're hard to offend too. So, but I don't know.
They're
I just
both in the military too, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my brother Jake just graduated OSU and commissioned as an officer in the United States Navy.
Nice.
So he's there.
So they're really fucking into order in their life.
Yes,
and structure.
very much
That's what
so.
you're getting at.
So, yeah. and you know, I don't know. I mean, I think drinking a lot is stupid. Drinking a lot for the hell of drinking a lot is even stupider. And then a lot of the kind of just like mindless social activities that you do for the sake of being mindless are not particularly conducive to anything. On the other hand, I don't think it hurts anybody. You know, I mean, it hurts people.
As long as you're responsible.
As long as you're responsible. And it's all good fun, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I would never ringingly endorse it or anything like that. And I would probably tell my kids, you know, there are better things you can do than Greek life. But, I mean, I don't think it is an institution that needs a lot of reform, as all these cases that keep coming up with everything from hazing to sexual assault to alcoholism to whatever keep coming up. But as it's not a cancer that needs to be rooted out. You know, it's just something that if you have a bunch
fixed, it's like everything else.
Precisely. If you have a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds and alcohol and a lot of money from rich parents,
and
you're going to have problems.
And the other thing you're missing is for some of these kids, it's the first time they've ever been away from home, where they have no parental unit, whatever. Like, for example,
most of these places you can't rush until you're a sophomore, though. So
well, that's not. I don't know about that, because my cousin, I was going to bring up my cousin who's at Arizona State right now. He asked me my opinion on Greek life, and I told him honestly, like, it's going to get you a lot of people, and it's going to open a lot of different doors as long as you put forth that effort. If you don't do anything, whatever, like, it's because you just never know who's going to do what and how it might influence you in life and things like that.
I mean, the one thing that you get out of being on the row is girls.
That's the other thing.
Not necessarily, you know, you got to do what you got to do to get those girls, but they're going to be at your parties.
I want to disagree. I've walked up and down the row many, many times.
There's never girls.
None who are at all attracted to me. Okay. So just being on the row doesn't get you girls, if that's what we're talking about. So, but yeah, no. So Nathaniel Haas was a journalist at USC who's doing his JD there right now. And he wrote a piece that made rounds on the Huffington Post and a lot of other websites on the economics of sororities versus fraternities via alcohol and sex on the row, kind of thing, right? It's been a while since I read it, so I forget the exact argument. But basically,
we'll try to find this article so we could post it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good article, and props to Nathaniel Haas, great writer, great person to read the work of. But yeah, no, I think you're onto something there, in that a lot of Greek life is not just the social aspect, but a lot of it is the let's party aspect.
Right.
You know? And in that case, I'm strongly opposed to it. I think there's just so much more to life than the bacchanalian kind of every weekend stuff. Then again, I am a member of the Trojan Marching Band, so it's I am not innocent of that. But I think when you have organizations that are expressly just built around the party lifestyle and they don't have any kind of higher purpose, really, that is not very conducive to making good, productive members of society coming out of those organizations.
And to defend the spirit of Troy, you guys bust your asses. You guys, I remember walking from class and you guys are at the practice field all fucking day, you know, playing the songs, getting ready for the games, whatever. There's also the public functions, or the private functions, excuse me, that you get hired for, you know, stuff like that. I mean, so there's a lot of work being put into it. So I get, like, and the trips, like, so I was friends with someone that was in the band like 10 years ago, maybe longer than that. And she was telling me, like, you know, the flight to Notre Dame, like you guys had to sing the fight song the whole time on the plane.
Oh,
Which
they hazed hard back then. Wow.
I think that's hilarious.
I do too, yeah.
Because everyone on the plane is like, shut up already. We
Dude,
get it. Fight on for old SC.
That'd be annoying as fuck.
And you had to wear your helmets the whole time.
Yeah,
Just
with
telling me
helmets
that on
is
the
the
flight.
thing, yeah.
You know, that's fun to me. That's cool. And I'm sure once you're in Chicago, you guys are gonna get into a little bit of trouble, which is fine. You know what I mean? That's cool. I'm with that. But
So I think, and I was thinking about this while we were talking earlier. I think with most organizations, there should always be a purpose first, and that purpose should mean something along the lines of either development of good, strong people who can go conquer the world of business or conquer the world of engineering or something like that, or rendering some useful public service kind of thing. In the band's case, there's a clear public service it renders. I'm sure there's plenty of other kinds of fraternities that do that kind of stuff. I think if you just exist for the sake of existing, that just doesn't seem to cut it as enough. I don't think. I think as long as there's a kind of purpose beyond it, then there's a lot that you can justify and, frankly, overlook that happens on the day-to-day kind of level there. So, yeah.
fair enough.
So have we covered enough of the frat boy life at the college level?
I think we've exhausted this.
Well, shall we talk about frat boy life on the global stage now?
Absolutely. So Luke is he was our resident political expert. He's leaving the state for a while now. He may be back, but
you can always Skype me if you want.
But we haven't done the Skype thing yet. I think we did a phone call once. We had one phone call. We haven't tried Skype yet, so we could probably.
This is a long 25-minute cold opening.
That's right. Well, we introduced him already, so.
Oh.
How do you feel about the first 100 days of the reign of Trump, I guess?
Well, actually, let's tackle it this way. So I'm on the WhiteHouse.gov website, and
a great news source, the best news source. You won't even find a better news source. I swear it. It's the best news source.
So I decided to choose WhiteHouse.gov to cover the first 100 days because if I go to Huffington Post, it's going to be slanted one way. If you go to Breitbart or Fox, it's slanted the other way. Yeah, you could you could read and then find a consensus of what really went on. But I'm just going to go off WhiteHouse.gov because that's what the government's telling us to be 100% true. So it's divided into categories: building American prosperity, listing, and then it lists what he did, keeping Americans safe and strengthening security abroad. And then finally, making government accountable to the people. So which one do you want to tackle first? It's like Jeopardy.
I'll take foreign affairs for 600 right off the bat.
All right.
I don't know which one that is. So that'd be strengthening security abroad and keeping Americans safe.
Yep.
North Korea has been testing missiles off their coast.
And that's not even a topic here, but let's just keep it to topics, and then I'm sure we're gonna factor that shit in.
Well, this has to do with world policing.
Oh no, for sure.
But
these are. I just want to cover what the White House has found pertinent, like what they feel is accomplished. So first one, illegal border crossings have dropped 61%, lowest in 17 years. So it dropped 61% in its first 100 days. Now, so here's the statement. Do you have anything to comment on that before I read the statement from the White House about this?
I'm sure there are plenty of ways to finagle the number into saying 61%. So,
are you saying that these numbers may not be 100% true or accurate?
Well, I'm sure they're accurate, but let's talk about what accurate means. It depends what the definition of the word accurate is.
It says in March 2017, 16,600 individuals were apprehended or deemed inadmissible. This is a 35% decrease from February 2017 and a 61% decrease from January of 2017 when Trump took office. The decline represents a 64% decrease from the same month last year. These are very specific stats they picked out.
Yep. Well, I think something else that is always lurking in the background with the immigration debate is regardless of whether or not we need more border security or less border security, or we need fewer people flowing in or more people flowing in, most of them don't cross the damn border. A lot of people fly in via airplane. And using numbers like that, there's no way to have any kind of accurate estimate as to whether or not
That's
these
true.
things should be working or if they are working, kind of thing. And I'm not making a comment on whether we should be measuring by airplane more. I'm just saying if you want to look
it's
at
true.
that kind of stuff, that's one of it.
The illegal Mexicans that I know, they came by train, like airplane, that type of thing, where it's like we're on vacation and we don't go back. Like,
oh, that's such a huge. It's a huge part of illegal immigration. Like people.
and so
We
but
want
how
to
do you-
we want to attack the big brown menace. You know, our big brown enemies down. Well, not enemies, but our,
Allies
our,
to the
our
south.
neighbors down south. You know, that's what people are scared of. But I personally know plenty of Eastern Europeans and Russians
Plenty.
and whatever you want to call it, like from all that part of the world that fly here on a student visa or just a vacation visa
And they never leave.
don't go
Yep,
back,
yep.
and nobody's looking for them because they blend in a little bit easier.
So here's my take on that. Actually, how about we finish up that and then I'll give you guys my take.
No, that's the
about
first issue. And all I wanted to say is, they probably don't want to come to America because fucking Trump's president. Like, that's a big thing. Like, why would you want to go there when he's going to, try to deport you? I mean, Texas just signed into law, like, their anti-sanctuary city bill.
So to be fair, a lot of conservatives would say that means it's working. So, and I don't necessarily think that means it would be working.
Well,
but,
see,
yeah.
my problem is what's working? Because what's the problem?
So
If you can't identify the problem, then you can't say it's working or not.
So generally and I'm not conservative in the sense which you guys know, but the general conservative sense on this kind of thing is too many low wage workers coming across the border, too many Mexican and Latin American and Central American workers coming across the border. Figure out how to stop that flow, figure out how to get people who are in back, kind of thing, right? And if the argument is less people would be coming across the border because Trump is intimidating people and making it less easy for them to do it, well, maybe it's not the right thing to do in terms of a humanitarian thing, but in terms of stabilizing the border flows, yeah, it's working.
Except my thing is, who the fuck wants to pick strawberries but low-income immigrant workers?
I mean, that's a different argument in itself. I mean, that's
a labor question.
But that's the whole thing about stabilizing. Like, they're coming in with low-wage work. Okay, yeah, they are coming in to work what? Jobs that no one else wants to work.
This is completely anecdotal here, but I used to work. I was a fire sprinkler installer for 6 years before I went to school, and our company was non-union, and the vast majority of the employees were undocumented workers. Fake social security numbers, whatever.
Right.
The president and owner of the company was a hardcore Republican. On the other hand, we'd work on job sites, and the union would be there, and they'd be sitting there like getting pretty. Some of them were getting pretty racist with my coworkers on the job sites. Calling them all sorts of shit because they weren't in the union and because they were undocumented. And what Democratic Party supports the unions? You know what I mean? So it's this weird. I've always found it interesting.
What political party?
Like the people that are hiring, the political party that's hiring undocumented workers more than anybody
Wants them out. And then
wants them out. Exactly. But the ones that don't want them working also don't want them to. They want them to be protected once they come here. Like it's this weird, just.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Get your headphones and just put it to the side because you're hitting this.
Oh, got it.
Just
So
put it over this part right here. Yeah.
That work better?
Here, I'll just.
You have to
fix it.
spring it the coiled part. The coiled part.
I'll fix it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah.
Keep talking.
Now, bear in mind, I am not necessarily competent at a lot of things, and one of the things that I am least competent about
You're a headphone
is,
neophyte.
Yes, precisely. So, anyways, I think one of the things to keep in mind with the immigration debate, and I don't know that it's civil enough that you can really accurately call it a debate nowadays. One of those things I think is just what are America's labor needs? Number one is the question that there's just such a fetishization of the border.
Right.
The border. And also the identity questions that come with the border that nobody really talks about the economy. Daniel, you're exactly right, is in the sense that there's a lot of people who come from Latin America who are here, quote unquote, illegally, that do not have any kind of legal status, but they provide an important service to the American economy. And if we were to do something like the program Eisenhower did back in the 50s and kick everybody out, that would quite possibly raise wages for American workers, but it would also leave us with a big dearth of people who would actually be willing to go do the kind of work that's needed, kind of thing. You know, so just in a macroeconomic standpoint, the kind of notion, well, if we want to talk macroeconomics, the notion that you can move 11 million people is insane, number one. But also, I mean, you're exactly right, is like, how are you going to really be able to make up for that in the economy if you're not training a workforce that does this kind of stuff? I think the big question for me with immigration, and I think the reason why it's more, it's one of the most emotional topics for anybody to talk about, is frankly the identity and the cultural side of it, rather than the pure wonky economic side, like how much are wages going to go up, kind of thing. And I think both sides are actually wrong on it. This isn't me trying to be a centrist or anything. This is just me like trying to figure out why I don't have a strong feeling on immigration the way a lot of people do.
I mean, I feel like it's a smokescreen. It's just a big thing to distract us from the real issues.
There's that too. But on the right, generally, there's this notion that like, oh, well, all these immigrants are coming over and they're not going to be Americans. They're not going to turn into Americans. All the demographic data and all the data that like scholars of American culture are collecting shows that like if you're looking at the basic quote unquote assimilation factors in terms of like what culture people consume, what products they consume, how often they send their kids to the military, how often they send their kids to colleges and stuff like that. Most Latino immigrants, by the second generation they're here, and that's most of them who are here right now, have already like become as American as you can get, and sometimes even more quote unquote American than a lot of white Americans living further east, kind of thing. So on the right, I think there's just this notion that like, well, they're taking our country from us, and there's a problem about that. But it's if you look at all the numbers, that's not the case. Now the left is just blind to the notion that American identity matters. The left, I think, could care less about the notion that like, well, we do need to make sure that that there's a common culture and that there's a common idea about what it means to be an American, and you can have your particular aspects of that, but as long as you, we're not worshiping diversity for the sake of diversity. We're employing the language of diversity in the name of a higher national cause, kind of thing, right?
Right.
And I think most people on the left would quite possibly say, well, that's a cultural superiorist kind of statement you're making. Why are you doing that? I come from a very conservative family. My family's from Ohio and Virginia, so and all generally white. I mean, my mom's an immigrant from the Philippines, so I come with the immigrant perspective in a different way than you guys' families do. But generally, I just think, in a very pragmatic sense, if you don't solve the identity question, if you don't solve the question of how are we going to turn a less white and more brown and more black population into a new nation for the moving forward to the future that can incorporate everybody and keep everybody under the same banner. If you can't figure out that question, and you're more concerned on just like, well, white people be white people, Latino people be Latino people, and we don't have to talk to each other kind of thing, then there's always going to be room for this kind of polarized discourse, and you're not going to be able to move forward on a national consensus on what we need from immigration and what we owe to immigrants kind of thing. So,
but we're a nation of immigrants, so it's really simple. For me, it's really simple. What it says in our fucking Declaration of Independence, and you know what Lady Liberty says. I know it's a fucking statue. I know what it, but that's a symbol of being an American. That is America. That's why so many people came here. Now you go deep into history as to the reason why the first settlers came here, whatever, if you want to even call them settlers. But at the end of the day, if you're against that message, you're not really that American.
I also feel like the only people getting affected by this are people in places where immigrants never go to in the first place. Like, you know, like parts of the Midwest or like deep South where there's no immigrant population whatsoever.
Yeah,
and those are the people that are complaining the most about this identity thing.
But I think there's a reason for that though.
So this, I'm going to let you finish, but this stat says 6 states, and this was published on April 27th, 2017 from pewresearch.org, and it says the 6 states account for 59% of unauthorized immigrants, the 6 states being California, Texas, Florida, New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. And it's actually, immigrant population has decreased in some of the states in the South, as well as California and Nevada. But that's, so it lends itself to what Gian was saying, is the most of the people who are complaining aren't even being affected by immigrants.
Well, what do you mean being affected by immigrants? I think this is...
They're not seeing, they don't even, they're not encountering
exactly
immigrants
right.
on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And it's not a
So
thing,
they're just hearing what's on Fox News. They're hearing what's on whatever, and they're like, well, fuck those, whatever.
and it's not a thing on television or film either, because I did reports. I'm a film major, and we had to do these kind of reports, and every single report I did was on diversity. Diversity has not gone up on television. The population is increasing, and there are less Latino roles on TV.
Right.
So it's not like
where
you're
the
seeing
Asians
more. Yeah, there's no Asian representation
You
whatsoever.
see black and
on
white people
TV.
on TV.
Yeah, I feel like black representation has gone up, even though their population has been getting smaller. So you can't tell me that you're watching TV and I'm seeing all these beaners on TV all the time, because they're not there.
Unless they're watching Telemundo.
Or they're watching a show where there's gangbangers or drug dealers. Then but
Breaking Bad, where the Mexicans are bad people.
I did. Part of my report was on Breaking Bad, and like the only like Latinos you saw, none of them were
Positive role models.
except for his partner, the one Hank's partner.
Gomez or whatever his name is. Gomi.
You guys both hit on something really, really important, and that's the anti-immigration sentiment is highest in areas where there are fewer immigrants, and it's lowest in places that actually have the immigrants. I think that's exactly right, and I think that actually kind of ties into the point that I was making a little bit earlier, is people in New York, people in California, people in Washington State, people in Washington, D.C., generally see a cosmopolitan world as a good in itself, and see diversity as the good in itself kind of thing. These are the more modern, more kind of cosmopolitan kind of worlds, whereas the areas in the Midwest and the areas in the Mountain West and the areas in the South are a lot more ethnically homogenous. It's a lot of white people. It's a lot of people who
Spread out, that's why.
That's part of it. And generally, those aren't the areas where the immigrants are flocking to. I have seen data that suggests that in areas where in the Midwest and in the South, where you have larger immigrant populations in the urban centers, actually have the least kind of racial problems and the least kind of immigration sentiment problems.
I feel like it's very hard to be discriminatory in a big city. I think it's hard to get away with it because you're under the spotlight, because you are a quote unquote major city.
I mean, but there's other weird things that happen in those cities. Like I know in Detroit, for example, there's like a large Chaldean. They're called Chaldeans. They're from
Iraq
and parts of Iran. Like,
right.
And they're all in Detroit. Where for whatever reason they landed there.
Maybe it's cheaper there.
Maybe that's part of it. But my point is like there's huge groups going to certain areas, and then they're segregated from the rest of the city, if it's their fault or because they were forced to get put in that pocket, so there's like a different.
But I would bet, and I don't know the story, but I just have this inkling of an assumption that there are not particularly bad immigration kind of anti-immigrant sentiments among the people who live around the Chaldean community in Detroit. And I've read the evidence I'm looking at is primarily the Somali community in Minnesota.
Right.
And the Somalians there, everybody loves them.
Right.
It's not just because the citizens of Minneapolis and St. Paul are liberal and progressive and advanced or anything like that.
They kind of are, though.
Well, I'm not arguing against that, but I think another part of it is just the face-to-face kind of interactions.
Right.
That's the other thing, too. This could all be, this might be conspiracy theorist or whatever, but this could all just be a general consensus that we're getting from news media. When you talk to people, for the most part, if you have face-to-face conversations, they might have problems with immigration or whatever, but like you just said, they'll still work with Jose down at wherever the fuck they're working at. Jose might be his drinking buddy.
Human beings are weird, man.
Yeah. So they're
we give people like a one-on-one thing. Like I could talk shit about Mexicans all day, but then I have.
If you go to a Mexican rally, you're not going to say shit.
Then I'm hanging out with Miguel. Like Miguel's at my house all the time, even though I'm talking shit about Mexicans. But no, Miguel's a cool guy. Like this whole the personal relationship is much different than when we start like.
Once you start grouping it off, and that's why I think, in my opinion, once you start spreading people out, you lose that face to face. If I have to drive 10 miles into town to go to the store or whatever the fuck, I'm not going to see people. You know what I mean? So when I go to town and then I see a fucking Mexican or a black guy doing whatever X, Y, and Z bad thing that I've heard on the radio, of course. See, this is why I don't fuck with people, blah, blah, blah. Because when I go out, they're going to do the same shit. And then that builds.
It's confirmation bias.
Exactly. As opposed to you live in the city, you're fucking sleeping like right on top of people sometimes if you're in the city. You know what I mean? So you know your next door neighbor. You know that they have medical problems. They need that Trump care. They need the Obama care. They need whatever the fuck.
So I think there's the exact opposite argument can be made though, the same argument can be made about like the small town community.
What, that they're tighter knit?
Tighter knit, yeah. Tighter knit. And you see people more often, that kind of thing.
And they coalesce all of their negative opinions and they become a strong, big negative opinion. And that's, in my opinion, that's how groups like the KKK formed. Because you have a bunch of people, fuck those niggers. And then all of a sudden, you get a bunch of people come together who all have the same idea, the tight-knit community, keeping America small and like it's supposed to be. And then they go out. Because it only takes a few people with their screw loose to go and actually enact what they feel. And that's on both sides, 100% both sides. Now, I can't name, other than maybe the Black Panthers, like a strong group that's not on the right that like went out and beat people up and did shit. But it does happen on both sides. But I'm just saying, so that's my counter to that.
The Black Panthers didn't do that either. The Black Panthers were actually pretty...
Well, but I'm just... They didn't lynch, but they used... Violence was not off the table in certain circumstances.
Well, they were ready to act, but if
that's
you
what
actually
I'm saying.
Look up historically, they didn't really have to.
No, I'm not saying that they're... I didn't mean to compare them. I was just trying... I was making a stretch. I was making a stretch. I was trying to get, like, somehow get a consensus of both sides.
Let's kind of segue out of this, because... with all the elections not that far off and the House, the Senate, everything that's going on, like, how did we get to this point where I feel like these radical people have been getting elected to the House and to the Senate, which didn't happen before. Like, we don't have moderate people anymore.
Well, let me give you an alternative view. I think, for one thing, there are always going to be cultural divisions in America just because of the different groups of white people who came in before the 1800s and set up their own little pockets of culture, and those were influential in different communities in America. So you're never going to get people from West Virginia to agree with people from Texas or to agree with people from California just because it's a different community. So that's thing number one. But thing number two, as things have developed, particularly since about the 1970s through the 1990s and beyond, I think you've had this development of an elite urban coastal culture, which we all are to some degree influenced by.
You're damn right I am.
Yeah.
Because California is the best fucking state in the country.
Well, we could talk about that. But anyways, I think it's this elite urban coastal culture that is fundamentally rooted in one of those cultural groupings that I was talking about just earlier. And the vast majority of the towns and counties in America were set up by people from 2 or 3 other different cultural groupings. I can talk about the details on that, but I won't go into it now. Anyways, in about the 1960s and the 1970s, when you had the Civil Rights Revolution and the Cultural Revolution and the Sexual Revolution, that totally switched off the tables in terms of what was acceptable at national public discourse and what was not acceptable at national public discourse. I'm not saying that there was a right side of history or a wrong side of history at it. I'm just saying I'll
say it for you.
Thank you. Please do.
There definitely was.
But I just think there's the kind of elites of this country since the 50s and 60s have come out of the urban college culture that we thankfully got set up after the Second World War. As those groups have gotten into power, they've had a different discourse than you commonly hear at other levels of society, kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is, we live in a democracy, and the values that are spoken between the elite and the sub-elite and the masses and the popular groups and the lower groups just differentiate sometimes. And sometimes it snaps. And when I look at the last couple of years, let's look at it since the Obama administration.
Right.
With the Obama administration, you had a generally across the board center-left, socially liberal, fiscally centrist, probably, institutionalization of power at all levels in national governments and in California and in a lot of the blue coastal states. And that was not necessarily an attack on the values of middle Americans like my ancestors, but that was, I think, accurate. You could accurately say that was a sign to those people that, well, maybe our values are not being as pushed forward. And when you have stuff like some of the Obama administration's executive orders on quote unquote religious liberty or quote unquote sexual control, whatever you want to call it, the same thing.
Which were what?
So well, the Supreme Court's decision in Obergefell was not an executive order, but that was very widely perceived as being like in line with the general elites kind of thing, right?
So for retards like me, what is that? Explain that. What was that case?
It's not retard, it's broken head.
Excuse me.
Obergefell was the gay marriage ruling that legalized gay marriage.
Is that
all
what it
across
was?
country. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then I know what that is then.
Yes, yeah. Or it's not coming to me right now, but there were some things on the campus rape situations, and there were some things on.
So wait, you're saying that the fact that the gay, what's your point?
So my point is that Middle America has different sexual norms than Coastal America.
Right.
Middle America has different religious norms than Coastal America, and when you have between 2008 and 2016. An Obama administration that generally goes on the liberal side of the sexual norms, not in a radical way at all, but is very clearly liberal on it. There's a kind of cultural reaction, a visceral reaction among people like my grandparents and people like a lot of my aunts and uncles that are like, well, you know, this isn't the end of the world, but I sure don't like what's happening, and I'm going to go vote for my congressman, even if they are not voting in my economic interest, but they represent me culturally, kind of thing.
So you think that's what's behind these like radical like...
But I don't think they think they're radical, and I don't think in the longer context of American history they are that radical.
Right.
I think they look very radical to the center left, and if you're looking at it purely in terms of how far away are they from our values, yes, they are radical. But if you look at the broader context of American history and what's been there for the longest time, I think it's more a reaction than a radical, let's go create a different kind of sexual culture than is there kind of thing.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like in response to these liberations of the sexual freedoms or whatever you want to call them.
Okay, so full disclosure,
people
so
are
that
like electing like not your traditional Republicans aren't the ones winning seats.
Yes. Okay, so if we want to talk about the evolution of why the Republican Party turned as crazy as it did, that's a whole other story. I'm purely talking about why voters were doing what they did in ways that were helpful to opportunists in the Tea Party movement and the Trump movement.
I completely understand too. Like I feel like we are right now, and me as a liberal, I don't consider myself ultra liberal at all anymore because of the things that are going on, because I don't agree with everything. I don't agree with a pushing of 78 different personal pronouns. You know, I think that's ridiculous. And I could see how people are getting frustrated with that because it's too much too soon, and it's going to a place with there's no grounding in it. You know what I mean?
Not yet. And I think, and I said this on the podcast before, I think that my beliefs are set in stone. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm probably not going to start memorizing these things. I don't care if they're in the Webster Dictionary or not. And that might put me on the wrong side of history because I feel like inevitably there's always going to be things that people just don't tolerate right now in the now. But in 20, 30 years, things change so drastically, whether it be because there's enough revolutionaries or whatever the fuck. Eventually, it goes towards that more liberal direction. And the general consensus is we accept it, and it takes time, but eventually we accept it. Eventually, the people in the South who had slaves came to accept black people and lived amongst them. Kind of, but it's a slow process, though. But I'm just saying, though, there is racial... I mean, just because Obama got elected doesn't mean racism disappeared like a lot of people thought.
Right.
But at the same time, though, there is more of an accepting just general, except just, I mean, you brought up the gay marriage thing. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
How many people still are against it, but over time, oh, my son's gay or whatever, and then all of a sudden, now it's personal. Now they can say, oh, they're just normal people, whatever.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people who are against it would not support overturning it too. Like they'll be like, well, I don't like it, but that's not the biggest issue right now, kind of thing.
Support overturning? Is that what you said?
No, they would not support overturning it.
Oh,
they
yeah.
would be like, I don't like homosexuality, blah, 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 blah. But, there are bigger things than that. I think that's how a lot of this social progress is done, is that there's a lot of opposition to a very incremental step. That incremental step is made, and the opposition generally fades away as other things get done. So you said, though, it takes time, but there's a general, marching forward in this kind of thing. I don't think that's a given, but I do think that in the modern West since the 1800s, that's pretty much been the case empirically. As a conservative, my thing is I just want that to happen in as orderly a fashion as possible while preserving everything that you can that's good.
There's kinks in everything,
yeah.
Which is why I say inevitably we will be at a time and place where there will be 35, 40, 50 million fucking gender pronouns because now... Am I saying that
or maybe there won't be,
or maybe they won't be? But you know what? I'm calling this now, and I mean this as a joke, but I'm fucking dead honest to God serious. There will be a time and place where human beings get married to animals, and they fucking try to do some weird shit like that, and it'll be more and more acceptable.
So now you sound like one of those crazy ultra right-wing conservatives right now.
No, and here's why
this is another conversation.
Now
Here's
you're
what
on
we'll
some
talk
Alex
about.
Jones shit.
No,
right
hold
now,
on.
bro.
I can tell you what it is. I've been playing too many video games. I've been playing Mass Effect too much. There's a bunch of aliens in it.
You're a furry. That's it. No.
But inevitably, things in science fiction films, they don't always come true. They're not always right. But there's certain...
I still don't see no fucking flying cars. All right.
Because that's impractical. Because you have a plane. You don't need a flying car. You have an airplane. Why would you need a flying car? Would be super stupid.
2015 was so 2 years ago, by the way.
I'm just saying, Blade Runner already happened. Okay, and we still have.
But anyway, obviously, it was a joke. But I think what my point is though, we are going to be more open to doing different things as a society. Now, is that everybody? No, but there's a few outliers, and those few outliers are initially what build that negative buzz about marrying your dog, whatever. Like, for example, Uber and Lyft. Remember when it was first coming out and you hear like of the one incident where like someone was drunk and they got in a fight or whatever, and then all of a sudden Uber's bad, Lyft is bad, sexual assault is bad.
I feel like that is as American as apple pie. That's what we do here. Like one thing happens and we blow up the one thing. And turn it into
that's actually really
it turns
true.
into happens everything. That's why we do the
exactly. So
it's the what's the Hugo, what's his face, the rags to riches guy,
Horatio Algiers,
yeah. What's Horatio
no,
what?
Algiers, I believe it's Horatio
Alger, yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's definitely not, but I can't think of who it is.
Well, I know it's
Go ahead,
Horatio,
yeah.
but it's like that myth that we push at school. If you work hard enough, your dreams will come true. You know, because that one person did it. When it's now that we have we're able to look at it. Once you go to college, you realize, oh, this shit's bullshit.
The reason why it worked for that one person is because it worked for that one person only. It was that one person's path.
Or that one person's grandfather was a billionaire, so on and so forth.
They just happened to give him a $15 million loan.
Just happened to give him a loan to start a...
But you have to impress them for them to give you the $15 million loan.
Okay, exactly.
How do you do that? You suck them off?
There are other ways.
I don't know. But you impress your dad enough to give you this money so you can start your
weird
own
if you
real
had to suck
estate
'em off.
empire and have enough money to keep failing and going into bankruptcy, where you could still tell people you have all this money and then become president of the United States without any sort of political experience.
On that note, I actually have to go in a few minutes here. But we definitely should have this conversation going on again one of these days on Trump in particular.
How much we get you 20 more minutes, can we?
Probably only about 5 minutes, actually. I have a thing I have to be at by 8:30, so Yeah, and it takes about an hour to Metro back to
Okay.
USC. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, but if you guys want to hit me up on Skype in the next week or so, I'm happy to record over that or over
Okay.
phone call or whatever.
For sure.
I just wanted to say though, guys, we definitely come from different intellectual backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, and different
you saying I'm
frameworks. in mind.
stupid?
No, not at all, not at all. You're very intelligent for what you do.
He's fucking stupid.
And
What is
it's-
that supposed to mean?
That came out very badly. I didn't
I'm
mean
very
anything
intelligent
by
for
that.
what I do.
didn't mean that in
For
any
a
anything.
podcaster, you're not that stupid.
Well, as a fellow podcaster, I can guarantee you there are a lot of us who are stupid. So if that's what I meant, then you are. I mean it only as a compliment. But I just want to say, I disagree with you guys, but I'm happy that we can be friends with it. I'm happy that we can respect each other with it. And you can't always have these conversations.
Get the
I'm
fuck
sure.
out of my room. Man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the comment section.
You're a fascist.
Yeah, and
All your
and
answers-
worse.
All your-
not just a fascist.
Right.
I'm an American fascist.
American fascist.
All your answers are going to be edited, so it's like you just. Like it's just going to be the. It's going to cut back to you.
But in all seriousness, I really do appreciate being able to have these conversations, and especially on the air. I think more conversations need to be this civil on the air, even when people disagree, even when people have different.
I'm with you. I
foundations,
think
all
that's
that
the
kind of
biggest issue that we have going on right now.
People
why
just can't
people
talk.
can't see eye to eye
Yeah.
because it just turns into a fight because
Yeah.
no one wants to listen to anybody else.
stuff. Right.
You know, I hate to say it, but especially on the left right now, I feel like more than anything, we have.
I'm sure
On
you're right.
college
but
campuses.
I see it on the right a lot too.
Yeah,
so
no, it's
yeah,
definitely
true.
there. It's definitely there. But the funny thing is, I feel like on the right, it's not happening with the educated people. But on the left, it's happening with the college kids.
Yep.
That's the
Yep.
strange part about it. But you know what? If we got 5 minutes with you, then you know what? You brought it up. I want to talk about it real quick.
All right.
I'm assuming you're a big fan of these alien films because
Oh yeah, I actually am not, but they
Really?
fascinate me morbidly.
okay,
We're talking about Alien as in like Ridley Scott Alien, by the way. Not like, not aliens like green eyes and or green creatures.
So I'll make this snappy. So you guys remember Alien versus Predator and Alien versus Predator Requiem?
yes,
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, so the story in those is that aliens or xenomorphs, to use a technical term, and predators have been going at it for thousands of years, and they keep coming to Earth and sacrificing humans and all this kind of shit, right? If Prometheus and Alien Covenant are canon, then xenomorphs coming to Earth before that cannot be canon.
Well, that's already been. It's already gone.
so it's a reboot.
No. The AVP like shit is not canon.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Okay, well, that actually makes me really happy. You know why? Because I'm a huge fan of the Predator franchise, and I think the worst thing they ever did to
It
the
was
Predator
just a
franchise.
fan thing.
Okay, good. Well, so I love spine ripping action. I hate chest bursting action. So if I can have my spine bursting action without having any chest bursting
You didn't like
action,
Predator
that's perfectly
2?
fine with me. What happened in Predator 2? There was
There was an alien head in Predator. That's what set up the whole thing.
There was, but there was no implication that alien had come out of a human.
No, it was the
It was
skull.
it was a trophy. Though.
I know. Yeah.
Like they were showing that the predators were this hunting society.
I remember the scene.
Because
I
they
remember
give
the scene.
Danny Glover the trophy,
Yeah.
because he killed the predator. Like here you go, boom, and they left him alone.
I like that little Easter egg's in there.
I do too.
like it as an Easter egg because you're like, oh,
So I'm cool with there being like those two species existing in the same universe. What I'm not cool with is the notion that predator culture is based on predators kidnapping aliens and humans, impregnating humans with aliens, having humans bust out of aliens, and having aliens bust out of humans. Humans busting out of aliens would be okay. Like I just can't take the chest burster stuff.
okay.
I'm cool with the spine ripper stuff, but as long as predator culture, which I revere and respect, is not fundamentally based on aliens coming out of human chests,
It's not.
I'm fine with it. I'm cool with
it's
it.
not.
So in that case, long live Prometheus. May Alien Covenant be great, and Predator will be. You know what I really hope though?
You're also talking about pred aliens, by the way.
Yes,
Those are a different
they're
class.
different species. Yes,
Entirely.
Yeah. Well, you guys know they're coming out with a new Predator movie with Olivia Munn and Key from Key and Peele, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I did
Shane
not.
Black. No, yeah, you did. We talked about it.
We
Shane,
did?
it's a Shane Black movie. And Arnold Schwarzenegger saw the script and he's like, I'm not going to be in this shit. This is stupid.
Yeah.
He is in it. Like now, I don't know
I'll
if I
show
want to
you.
watch it.
I'll
man.
show you the
But
picture.
Olivia Munn, yes.
Olivia Munn, yeah.
Key, not so
Okay,
much.
so I have a thing for Hapa girls, right? And Olivia Munn is like the public figure Hapa girl.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
What is a hoppa?
Half white, half Asian, like me.
Oh, okay.
It's a Hawaiian term. It's actually a derogatory term. But
Oh,
now
but
it's-
we live it, though. We
now
live
it's
it,
term.
so, yeah.
It's Hapa because Hapa Hauli. So half a haole, because haole means white person, a derogatory.
Did not know this.
Hawaiian term.
But we've reappropriated it. And it sounds cool.
definitely.
Yeah,
Now
so
it's
it's also a cool word too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my ukulele song, Hoppa Girls. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
All right,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. But anyways, if there's a chest bursting scene from an alien in the new Predator movie,
You're gonna
that
be
will just
pissed.
kill it for me. That'll piss me off so bad.
Right.
So
But
bad.
it won't happen. Don't worry about
Okay,
it.
good.
So this is the cast for the new Predator movie. Fucking what's his name from Narcos is in it. Olivia Munn, definitely Peel, or is that Key? I don't
Key.
know.
That's Key. Yeah.
And I don't know who these two black guys are. There's a kid in
I
it,
know him. He's in a ton of shit.
and then this is I think that's Shane Black. Ugly mug.
Oh, well.
Well, not as ugly as the Predator. Because the Predator is an ugly
Oh,
motherfucker.
fucking what's his name's from Moonlight's in here? The dude who won the best picture? Is that who it is?
I have no idea. No, it's not the main guy. It's not the guy from.
Oh no, it's the actor who was in it.
Right.
He was the third actor in Moonlight.
So yeah. So you're the only now I'm confused. I feel like the only reason why you're excited for the Alien movie is because it's going to have nothing to do with with Predator.
Well, actually, I'm also really morbidly fascinated with the dynamic of like the robots and the engineers.
Okay.
So if you take the robots and the engineers and you just remove all the chest bursting sequences, I think it'd be a great movie
So you
series.
just don't actually like seeing things bursting out of chests.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay, that's specific.
Yeah, like chests. Boobs are on chests. You know, like
Right.
chests are supposed to be
So
beautiful things.
So
and
you
don't
think you
destroy
should,
them.
as long as you're bursting on chests, it's okay.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, motherfucker.
Well, you don't
Are
like
you trying
things,
to destroy my political career this early?
you don't like
Luke-
things bursting
Luke's-
from them, but if you
Luke
burst on
saved
them,
his profanity for the very last part of the interview.
now I know you like bursting on
Yeah.
chests.
Right.
Well, you don't know.
That's
that.
okay.
You don't know.
I
that.
don't know that. That's okay. I'm glad I don't know that.
Yes,
But
yes.
we can it's alleged.
You can
Quit
like
insinuating stuff.
insinuate stuff if you want, but yeah, I will neither confirm nor deny.
All right, Luke. Well, we appreciate you coming on here. I think we had a pretty good discussion. Man, don't be a stranger. We'll figure out the technological side of things, and maybe we can get you on for a little longer next time.
Yeah. If I'm back in LA within a year, I am definitely down to do this more with you guys.
For sure,
And
man.
I think you guys are doing a really good thing here. I look forward to seeing where the show goes.
All right,
So,
appreciate it. Man.
Plug anything if you need to.
nothing at the moment. No.
Nothing? Not even the podcast?
You heard that right, folks. Nothingatthemoment.com.
Yep, that's it. That's where to find him. Are you sure?
Yeah, for now, I'll get back to you guys on that next time. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Luke Phillips. Welcome back to the second part of the podcast. That was a interesting back and forth we had there, would you say?
Yeah, it was a nice hour. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer, but I guess he has going away plans.
He does, because he's leaving the state, and it didn't help. We got wrapped up on some specific
College
topics.
frat stuff.
Yeah, didn't get to what we wanted to completely, but I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, for what it was. I mean, we covered one topic of Trump's first 100 days. There was a lot to go on. But anyway, we're not going to continue that. We're going to move on to other things, to other more important, pressing issues.
Current events, for example. Hey, did you hear about that guy that put out the $495 shoe, even though his son has not played a game in the NBA yet?
No, I have not. Who are you referring to?
Well, the guy's name is LaVar Ball. If you've been living under a rock like Daniel, because Daniel can't seem to remember the guy's fucking name. What's that guy's name
I thought
again?
it was Lonzo Ball.
No, Lonzo Ball is his son. But Lonzo Ball hasn't been doing press or anything. His dad, LaVar Ball, has been doing all the press for him. He's been going on ESPN. He's been going on Fox Sports. He's been going on podcasts. He's been doing anything. If anybody gives him any attention, he's taking it. And he got flamed on Twitter last week when he made a post saying, if you can't afford it, then you're not a baller. And people are just like, oh, it's hilarious, some of the things they said.
If you can't afford the $500 shoe?
You're not a baller. There's pro athletes going on there talking shit to him, like just making up or putting up memes, you know, just responding with memes or saying that the shoes are going to be in Payless or they're going to be in Ross in 2 years.
I have seen
like
those.
that. Like,
My thing is, who the fuck is Lonzo Ball? Who the fuck is LaVar Ball? And more importantly, who the fuck are they to demand $500 for a pair of shoes?
right.
I mean, Jordans aren't $500, and that's motherfucking Jordan.
Well, you know why they're asking 500, right?
Because they can?
No, because he went shopping Lonzo Ball to Adidas, Nike, Reebok, Under Armour, whatever, and they all turned him down. So he said, fuck it, I'm going to make my own shoe. And I'm thinking that the overhead is so high because they're not going to have 1 million of them made. You know, like, it's going to be a low production.
That's the only way
run.
for them to get money is
That's
by
the
selling
only
it for
way
that price point?
Exactly. That's I might be completely wrong, but that's what I think it is.
So you don't think they're going to come out ahead, even if it sells, which it hasn't, because it was reported that they were selling thousands like on the first few days, and they haven't even sold 300. I think that was like the number.
There's conflicting reports. A lot.
Well, let's just
LaVar
say
Ball is saying that they already got 5,000 pre-orders.
Well, let's just say that there's no conflicting reports with Yeezys.
Right.
Everyone knows they're successful. So the fact that you have like no one's saying, they only sold 290 pairs of Yeezys. Like there's no disputing that the fact that that's a popular shoe.
Definitely not.
And that shoe retails for $2,000 online, sometimes more, sometimes a little less. But the MSRP is like $200, $250 or something.
That's a motherfucking baller shoe right there.
And Lonzo Ball wants to come out at $500. And I was just Googling him right now, and this article was posted 7 hours ago on CBSSports.com.
Fake news.
Fake news, of course. So apparently LaVar Ball,
that's
the dad. I'm going to read what it says. When Ball, the dad, went on Fox Sports 1 Undisputed, Shannon Sharp pointed out to him that Jordan would never be able to sell shoes at the price Ball is selling them at as a rookie. LaVar's response was predictable. He said, what do you think he said? Because I know you haven't seen this, because this just happened.
He probably said, well, Jordan ain't Lonzo.
Well, he said, quote, because he ain't Lonzo Ball, that's why. Did he have his own brand when he came in? ? Ball added of Jordan. This is a new era called the Ball era.
That's like complete deflection. There's no explanation to that at all.
And then he also said,
you know what's fucked up is like before we go, because we're both shit talkers, we're both haters. The name of the show is Daniel and Gian Talk Shit for a reason, but I want to root for this guy. Like I really want him.
LaVar or Lonzo?
The Ball family. I want them to succeed.
Lavelle too.
LaVar?
Wait, hold on.
No, it's Lonzo, LiAngelo, LaMelo. There's 3 of them.
Oh, excuse me.
I mean, it's an interesting story. Like this guy, he's got 3 kids. He's
no one named Lamar. My bad.
He's trained them to be like they're going to be at least college level, Division I basketball players, which is impressive in itself. And he's got so much.
Yeah, LaMelo has committed to UCLA already.
So did the middle one. LiAngelo did too.
Well, there you go. So then you have all 3 of them committing.
They're all going to UCLA for whatever reason. I mean, the guy, he's dedicated his life to his kids. Now, did he dedicate his life to his kids so that he can milk them for?
Or does he love them?
Or does he love them? I don't know, because he said some weird shit. Like he got into some heat after the March Madness tournament by saying that you can't win a championship with 3 white guys.
I remember that. I think I sent you that article.
That's why UCLA didn't win.
What do you feel about that?
I think it's bullshit. It has nothing to do with it. You know why UCLA can beat Kentucky? Because his son couldn't guard Kentucky's guard. He got his ankles broken left and right.
Are you saying he's not that good of a player?
I'm not saying
because if you're saying
I'm going to put it this way. Like when I watched what I've seen of his son, he does nothing that like impresses me.
Okay, so
like when I saw Ray Allen play Jesus Shuttlesworth, when I saw him in the tournament, you saw he was wet. You know what I mean? It was just smooth, and you're like, wow.
You saw greatness,
He's
or
impressive,
what was going to become greatness.
Exactly.
But my question to you is, take the father out of it. Okay, is Lonzo worth the hype that the father's probably adding to? So if anything, the father's probably overhyping his son by putting him on blast like this. Now he's not putting him on blast, but like throwing him out there a lot, right? Is he worth the hype? Like if the Lakers sign him, let's say the Lakers sign him because is he number 1 draft, right? Like he's the number 1 draft.
You're saying he's a top 3. He's not going to go first or second.
You don't think so?
No, he's going to go 3rd at the highest now.
Because you don't. So if let's say the Lakers pick him, he's not going to be the franchise player.
He didn't make himself any money in the NCAA tournament.
He's not LeBron.
No.
I thought you can't make money in NCAA.
No. I'm saying like
Oh, by being so well that they're going to give him a bigger contract?
That's the last look that scouts get.
Right, so his contract didn't get bigger because he played so well.
Right. That Kentucky game, he got...
So then if you were to equate him to a
exposed.
player right now playing that he's going to come in at, like...
So he's a pass first guy, which is good. He's not going to shoot all the time. He's tall.
Is he first team or second team? Do you think he'll be a backup player or he'll start?
No, I think he'll start. I don't think he's going to be the star of his team, though.
I think like Dwayne Wade. Is he like a Dwayne Wade?
No. Dwayne Wade was a star. Dwayne Wade was a fucking star for like a good.
Or not Dwayne, Carmelo.
No, Carmelo's a star too. He's not on that.
But he's
level.
not. He kind of faded away.
I mean, Carmelo's just a different story altogether.
He's still like a top 30 player. I think he's 25.
He's a different kind of player. Carmelo's a bad example. Let's say he is. Okay, if he goes on the trajectory of Jason Kidd. That's a good career. That's a solid career.
I like Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd wasn't a superstar in the NBA.
But he was at the same time. He wasn't, but he was. Like everybody knew who.
Everybody knew he was. But Jason Kidd, I think that's a good mark because they're the same style at pass first, kind of same size.
And coaching, he can always coach. Playing doesn't work out. Or did he own the Nets?
Jason Kidd is coaching because he had 15 years in the league. That's not a short career. It wasn't abbreviated. He's just a
basketball's his life. That's why.
Right,
but he doesn't know anything else.
I think if he becomes Jason Kidd, he's going to be seen as a failure because of his dad. His dad hyped it so much.
Because his dad made him seem like fuck. If you're making comparisons to Michael Jordan,
right,
you're going to be compared to Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
unless your name's LeBron fucking James.
Right.
You're not going to be
Kobe.
in that.
You're not Kobe. You're not.
You're no one. Those are top. These are the fucking.
I don't even like Kobe, but
those are the legends of the sport.
It's a generational player. Do I think his son's going to be a generational? Do I think Lonzo Ball is going to be a generational player? No.
Do you think any of the Balls are?
No.
None of them.
No.
Well, then I guess his shoes aren't worth $500.
No,
are they?
Definitely not. But hey, if it's success, more power to him. That's great.
So you're not a sneakerhead, but
no.
If there was any star out there right now besides LeBron, doesn't matter if it's actually, let's include LeBron. Any sport, soccer, or whatever.
I think Kevin Durant's got the top selling shoe this year. The KDs they sold more than LeBron.
What are they called? Do you know?
KDs. Just Nike KD. I don't know if it's under the Jordan, the Jumpman subdivision, but
how much are they? They're retailing for
same $150, 160, I'm sure.
Do they look like Yeezys?
I have no idea what the KDs look like.
If it's what this is, they're about 150, 125.
Yeah, that's a standard Nike.
I would pay that money. Like, I mean, I would hate myself for it, but if I was into shoes like that, if I was playing basketball or something like that, whatever. I mean, obviously you probably wouldn't ball in those shoes.
I got some Jordan 5s retros I got last summer or 2 summers ago. It's been longer than that because I had my USC. I've been known to buy Jordans. I'm one of those guys.
I mean, I spent $80 on Dodger Vans, so
that's ridiculous.
That's the most I'll spend, though.
That's just dumb.
They're comfortable.
I'm sure they're comfortable as shit, bro. I got more Vans than fucking everybody.
I'm only wearing them during baseball games. Only during baseball games.
Those are your good luck shoes?
No. I just don't want them to get fucked up because I know if I wear them for like 2 weeks straight, the Vans, all the materials are just going to fall apart.
Because that's what Vans do when you wear them every day.
Yeah, and I feel like it's gotten worse over time. I feel like when I was younger, a pair lasted a little bit longer. And now...
Well, you're like 70 pounds heavier, too. So
I'm just grinding
You're just wearing the fuck out of those soles. Have you ever looked at your soles to see like what part of the shoe you're wearing out? Is it like that? Are you like an inside stepper or an outside stepper? Like, what do you got?
My heel.
That's actually pretty balanced, man. I'm impressed. I think you evenly distribute your fatness on your feet.
What can I say? Years of practice. All I can say is when I used to scooter a lot, and even in high school, and even in college when I was scootering, in college, I rode around a child scooter that I didn't know.
I was going to say, explain that.
I will. I'll get into that in a second. But since there was no, back brake, I'd have to use my feet. So I noticed my right foot would, just get fucking scraped down to the bottom because I was just constantly creating sparks to, stop my body.
Right.
But anyway, the scooter, so I don't think I've ever talked about this on the podcast, and I'll keep it really brief because I've explained this story a million fucking times. I
stole a scooter.
I worked at the Catholic Center at USC.
Allegedly.
No, I definitely worked there for sure. And they had a lost and found policy to where if you found something or whatever, you'd put it up front, and if it went unclaimed for a month, it was open season. You could take it. Like there was a 30-day window. And every Monday, part of my duties is I would count all of the offering money from Sunday Mass and then walk it over to the Bank of America, which is like a block away or whatever.
Right.
Well, a few months went by, I was doing this, whatever, and then I noticed a scooter was in the lobby. And I'm like, oh, cool. Let me ask my boss if I could take the scooter to go to the Bank of America. I didn't know if it was lost or not or whatever. It was just there. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. That's fine. So I took it to the scooter, and eventually that became my, like, transportation to the bank. I was saving fucking so much time just by doing that.
Lazy fuck.
Exactly. And then a month went by, and I'm like, no one's claimed this. It has to be lost. It's in good condition. Fuck it. Why not? Let me just ask. Can I take this? And what's funny about it is the guy I asked, my boss, like, yeah, whatever, sure, no problem. Months go by. I'm using it now to go to class. Everything. That's my main transportation vehicle for school.
A child scooter, by the way. Get that picture in your head.
I didn't know this yet. I just thought it was broken because it wouldn't go past my stomach. Like the bars would not go up. So I'm just like, it's broken. It didn't. It also wasn't weird that like I could literally only fit one foot on the scooter. Like I couldn't fit both my feet on there.
He's broken. He's fine. He's fine.
It also had a shock absorber on it, so like it was a radio flyer scooter. But anyway, like none of these were red flags to me. So I'm going to school one day and I'm waiting to cross the street to get into campus, and I see one of my coworkers. I hadn't seen him in months. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "It's been going great." And then I told him the whole story about, because he asked like, why are you riding a scooter? And then I told him the story I just told you. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, you do know that scooter was donated, right? And the reason why it was there is because it was going to go to a Christmas drive in a few weeks. And like some family donated a brand new scooter, and that's what it was for. And I felt like super guilty. And I was like, I don't know why you had to tell me that. Like you could have just had this conversation and not said shit. But now like... But then I was like, whatever, it's fine.
Right.
And then they didn't want it back.
Of course not. You've been riding the shit out of it.
My boss didn't even know that, so I was like, whatever. It's not. I got permission to take it home. And
it's your boss's fault.
Technically, it'd be my fault. But anyway, I rode around a scooter. That was for kids, children.
And you fucked up your shoes.
And even on the bottom of when I found out it was for kids, on the bottom I read the weight limit. It was like 110 pounds. A fucking radio flyer can make them because it did not break with me. Shocks worked. It didn't go up. Like I said, it only went up like to my waist, but it is what it is. But yeah, so, I think if Lonzo Ball fails or does not be the greatest basketball player of all time, he's going to be a failure.
Like I've said before, man, if he averages 15 points a game, eight assists, and 6 boards, that's a solid NBA career. But because of his dad...
That's a fail.
Exactly. His dad is setting him up to fail. Not to mention, like these guys. Let's call a spade, man. These NBA guys, the majority of them are street guys. They're not. They're one and done. They go to college for a year because they have to. They'd go straight to the NBA if they could. They're pissed off that this dude's dad is talking all this shit.
It's devaluing everybody else. Yeah. But at the same time, it's also going to, in my opinion, have a long-term effect where it's like, if Lonzo fails and someone else's dad tries to hype up their kid or whatever, like, oh, it's another Lonzo.
Exactly.
Here we go. We know what happened. Because the thing about...
Another LaVar Ball situation.
Exactly. And the thing that LaVar... I mean, I don't know LaVar. I haven't heard him talk. All I know is he looks like Montel Williams. But other than that...
He's got a fucked up grill, too.
But other than that, I'll find a picture. I'll put him up. I'm going to compare the two.
Everybody knows he got butter teeth, bro. Like his
butter
teeth are jack. Like it's just straight butter when he opens his mouth, bro.
I don't even.
He's got
never
like
heard
some
that
fucking
expression.
grime on it, like some shit he needs to scrape off.
Anyway, what I was going to say is, if Lonzo comes out and has a great season, let's say he's a rookie of the year and MVP somehow. I don't know if you can do that in basketball, but
it's.
And really
I don't know
hard.
if it's ever happened.
But let's just say best fucking season.
Right.
Motherfucker needs to be consistent for his whole career. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I'm not saying he needs to be at that level, but you turn in 3 good seasons and then you start to tank. Here we go. Then the word starts coming out about he
it
really
needs to
was
be
a
like-
failure
It needs to be like 10 years straight,
of great
And
basketball.
he can't get hurt either if he gets hurt.
Nope, you get hurt, you're done.
You got them weak ball genes. It's like Derrick Rose.
Did LaVar play basketball?
LaVar played 1 year of college basketball, and I think he quit the team. He's averaged 2.2 points a game. I mean, the dude's ridiculous. He went on TV and he said that in his day he could work Jordan
Back
in
in my
one-on-one.
day.
He's like, I would have destroyed Jordan in one-on-one. Like, and bro, you scored 2 points a game for Washington State, man. Like, I feel bad for his kids, man. Like, I don't even want to hate on. The only reason why Lonzo Ball is a piece of shit to me is because he went to UCLA. Fuck Bruins. But
so if he was a Trojan, you'd be like,
yeah. I mean, I would be defending LaVar Ball and saying he's the shit.
So it says right here that LaVar Ball is according to Wikipedia. Obviously the most reliable source of information on the internet. LaVar Ball is a retired American football player.
Oh, I guess he did. He played in the NBA or the NFL for a year.
He played professionally with the London Monarchs of the World League of American Football.
That don't fucking count.
Hold on, I'm reading.
That does not count.
And was a practice squad member of the New York Jets and Carolina Panthers in the NFL. A native of California, Ball attended Canoga Park High School in L.A. before playing basketball at Washington State
all right.
and Cal State.
Have you been to Canoga Park?
No, it doesn't. No.
Nothing but Mexicans out there. Can't trust a black guy from Canoga Park, man. That's all I'm saying. Some weird shit right there.
Well, his build, he's 6'6", 320. Big dude.
320.
That's what it says,
He's not 320.
That's what it says. Like I said, Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia is wrong. He's 220.
320, bro. It says right here, 145 kilograms.
He is not 320. Look him up, man.
I'm looking at
a fucking picture.
Maybe this is at his when he was playing professional football for the London Monarchs.
Okay, what position did he play?
Let me look.
Because if he was 320, he was a fucking lineman.
Let me look it up. LaVar Ball, London Monarchs. I've never heard of that, by the way.
There was a European NFL Europe like summer league they had for a few years.
So LaVar Ball played tight end, and he was playing out of Cal State, LA, with the New York Jets.
Yeah, he wasn't 320, and he's not 320. He is not 320 now. He's way smaller than that.
I didn't say now. It just says on his stats.
Yeah, but tight ends aren't 320 either.
All I'm saying, bro, that's what
All
it says.
All I'm saying is that's why they don't let you use Wikipedia as a source in college, because it's shit like that.
I did, and I graduated.
Did you?
Yeah.
Shows what kind of bullshit classes you took.
Or shows that I'm good at bullshitting.
I don't know. I've seen you in person.
I passed. I can write. I don't have to. I'm not talking my essays out.
I remember how upset you got when
I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know if I want to hear it.
You got so upset. We had a class together, and you knew like I fucking wrote.
Oh, because you got better grade than me?
And I wrote my shit like the day of or something like that. And you're like, what the fuck?
Whatever. It's okay. We both graduated. We're on the same playing field right now.
Yes, we are. Well, not really, but yes, we are.
It says, I'm reading about Big Baller Brand because we didn't really talk about it. So let's see.
I mean, it's an interesting idea. Like, I know it's the 3 Bs for ball. I mean, that's why it's Baller Brand. I mean, the shoe looks like the latest Kobe shoe. It looks like a straight rip off of the Kobe shoe. I mean, there's just all kinds of issues with this.
It's
guy.
an ugly. Well, do you think it's an ugly
let's
shoe?
Let's go back to him talking shit about white players on UCLA.
I should probably find that article. It's on my Twitter.
His wife is white. That shit does not make any fucking sense to me. So all of his kids.
Lonzo Ball's married.
LaVar Ball.
Oh, LaVar Ball.
LaVar Ball is married, and
Tina Ball.
His children are all half white. Yet he's talking shit about the white kids. The guys, I don't know. And there's people out there, the Andrews of the world, that are defending him, saying he's just trying to be like a black man, like doing things for the
Yeah,
black
why are you putting a black man down, bro?
Yeah. Well,
let him be popular.
I just find it ironic that you're like using this guy as a pillar of the black community, yet the guy purposely found himself a white woman to marry. To create tall kids. Because he said in an interview he found himself an athletic, tall woman to make sure that he had tall, athletic children. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm curious what she looked like when they got together. She's not the best thing to look at right now.
Yeah, but if she's like fucking 6 feet tall, you know.
I mean, she's shorter than him, but he's fucking 6'6", so that's not really saying much.
Right.
I'm trying to find that article. Oh, here it is. It was. Hold on, it's loading. It says. LaVar said, realistically, you can't win no championship with 3 white guys because the foot speed is too slow. I told Lonzo, one of these games you might need to go for 30 or 40 points. It turned out that was one game. They won, blah, blah, blah.
Notice he didn't say anything about the guard from Kentucky breaking Lonzo's ankles left and right.
Let's see. In the Bruins Sweet 16 loss to Kentucky, Lonzo Ball played and threw a bad hamstring and managed only 10 points. People thought he was giving up, but he popped his hamstring, LaVar Ball said. He said, I was trying to run, but my hamstring was pulled. But he's never going to make excuses. Don't worry, because Daddy will make an excuse for you. Let's see. In the locker room after his team's March Madness loss, Lonzo Ball announced that he was turning pro and he's projected to be a top 3 pick in this year's NBA draft. Basketball fans may debate whether his wonky jump shot will translate to the NBA. One thing is for certain, LaVar Ball will surely continue to make headlines once his son reaches the next level. Well, isn't that fucking embarrassing? Actually, it's not embarrassing, but if you were Lonzo...
It might be genius.
If you were Lonzo Ball, wouldn't at some point... Like, this is not going to turn out well. If LaVar continues to, like... At some point, he needs to either A, focus on his other kid and let Lonzo be Lonzo in the NBA. Because if he's still, like... overshadowing
that's
things.
What's going to happen. Like
there's going to be a fucking beef
once he signs a contract,
because Lonzo's going to want to be his independent person.
The front office is going to say, "Hey, you're going to need to tell your pops to back up," and they're not going to let him in the locker room. He's not going to be allowed to.
You have to,
yeah.
Otherwise, you're promoting that shit. I can't see the Laker organization. I'm not saying he's going to sign with the Lakers, but I'm just saying like. I can't see a big shot organization like that tolerating that.
No, definitely not.
Maybe on a lower level, if I don't even think a lower level team would tolerate it.
I mean, it's just bad for the team.
What about the Clippers? Would he feel all right on the Clippers?
Maybe with the Clippers because it's just a fucking shit show.
That's
over
what I'm
there.
saying.
Like, maybe that would fly. Like I don't know.
Well, the biggest thing, obviously, this is an old article. This article was
what happened right after the tournament. Yeah, but
I didn't know. Dude, how fucked up is it that Lonzo Ball announced his fucking turning pro when they lost?
No, that's standard though.
I feel like that's unprofessional. Because A, not everyone on that team is going to make the pros.
Right.
But not only that, you just lost. Like, it's not like you're going to be in great... Like, Lonzo was probably I lost? Whatever, I won because I'm fucking getting an NBA contract.
Maybe him declaring, like, took all the heat off the team so they didn't have to talk because everyone was more interested in talking to Lonzo Ball.
That's true. I doubt that was the case, but it could be. Well, I don't know. How would you feel about that? Because then you're like, fuck, I can't talk about my loss.
I mean, these guys are kids. They don't want to talk about their loss.
I don't know.
The current NCAA, like basketball right now, with the one and done rule, you're rarely seeing teams that have seniors. It's all freshmen and sophomores. So they're young, like 18, 19, 20 at the most, you know. And a lot of them when Kentucky lost, they were crying. Like they interviewed them and the guys were crying. Freshmen, like, we know we're better than that. And it was fucking sad. Like I felt bad for them because it was like their fucking dog died or some shit. And that's like, that moment right there, like let me know how young these guys really are, you know? And we expect them.
Could you imagine if like in the World Series,
they're fucking crying.
They're crying like
There's
they
no
lost.
crying in baseball.
I know, but could you imagine that was like in commonplace, like no matter who you were, like whatever sports team you were playing. I mean, whether it's NFL,
would be soccer, okay?
Or they would, yeah, I could see that. Oh, I didn't know this. Nice, sweet. Andrew Tolles will miss the remainder of the season after suffering a torn ACL in his right knee.
Wow,
sweet.
That's one of the best players you guys got.
He's probably the best player. I didn't watch this game yesterday, but apparently.
That Bellinger kid's supposed to be pretty good.
He has been. He's been hot. And Julio's, I guess he almost threw a no-hitter or something yesterday. I didn't watch the game.
Fuck Julio and his cockeye.
Are we done talking about LaVar Ball, or do you have more stuff?
I think we're done.
To add?
I got nothing to say. I mean, it's over.
You wish him the best, right?
Good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't. If this all works out and he turns into this like mogul, because
then LaVar Ball is the smartest human being on the planet.
He's a fucking genius, and we got nothing to say. And I got to commend the risk that he's taken because he's at
the end of the day, he's gonna win. Like at the end of the day, he's won already.
Right.
Because he's had the publicity.
Exactly.
So his name will be relevant.
Exactly.
Period. Like he could, if his sons are successful, which they at least one of them will be, he's still gonna cash in on it somehow. I mean, he's well off now. I'm sure he's trained his kids to like, oh, when you get money, don't forget to throw some up to me. You know, I'm sure LaVar, when he gets his deal, one of the first things he's going to do is buy daddy a new car, buy a new house, buy whatever.
Well, I'm sure he's going to be their agent or their manager until like.
Would you let if your pops was like that, super overbearing and like, would you let him be your agent?
The question is, do you believe the shit that's coming out of Pop's mouth? As if they believe in their dad, then they're, you know, we don't know that. We don't know if he's
I feel like it's so hyped up that you just can't like.
We don't know if Pops told him like, hey, I'm going to go out there and make a fool of myself so that you can just focus on basketball. That could be the thing too.
It could be. Because
nobody's talking about Lonzo Ball. Everybody's talking about LaVar Ball. LaVar Ball doesn't even touch the fucking basketball. He has nothing to do with the game.
It's true. I mean, maybe, and he's playing us all.
He could be.
He's the smartest fucking person.
Right.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. I've heard him talk, his vocabulary, and
I haven't heard him talk, so maybe it's good that I haven't, or else I would be going harder on him.
He doesn't believe in dentists.
Well, that's alleged. Still have not. I'm going to look up his teeth. LaVar Ball teeth. That's the point of the podcast we're at, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking at LaVar Ball's teeth.
All right, while you're looking up his teeth, I'm going to start with. I'm going to move on to the Canelo. I told you I wasn't fucking around, man.
Those are some grimy teeth.
I wasn't fucking around.
Dang.
He's just waiting for Lonzo's first check so he can get bleached.
So he can get braces. They made a meme with Sad Jordans as his teeth. I guess these are the 15 best memes of the new Baller brand shoe, which I will be posting on this video. I'm not going to talk about it here, but I'll post them up. That's fucking hilarious.
So Canelo versus Chavez.
Well, it was more like Canelo shadow boxing for 12 rounds.
It was a sparring match, for sure.
At best.
At best. It's fucked up. I dropped $70. I invited people over to the house. We had some shitty pizza and some fucking discussions, borderline arguments in my living room while this shitty ass fight was going on. So,
oh man,
I mean, what was your biggest issue, Daniel?
With the fight?
Not with the fight, because the fight was one sided. It just looked like Chavez Jr. was a punching bag for Canelo.
It looked like, in my opinion, the dude, and you know his name. I watch boxing, but I know more UFC people than I do boxers, unfortunately. But fuck, who's the dude who fought before Canelo? Who were the two people that fought? The British guy. Was he British or French?
David Lemieux?
Yeah.
He's French-Canadian.
French-Canadian, okay. Canelo should have fought that guy in this match.
Right.
They seemed, I mean, I don't know what they would have been like in the ring, or I don't even know if their weights are compatible. I don't know.
De La Hoya wouldn't have let him take that fight.
Probably because the French-Canadian would have fucking potentially knocked out motherfucking Canelo.
Right.
And killed Triple G fight.
Right.
But I'm just saying, based on the way the French-Canadian was fighting the other dude, that style, like that he would have matched up, in my opinion, well with Canelo. Again, I don't know their weights. I don't know if that fight could even happen or whatever, but just based on energy level, just pure strike. Because, I mean...
Well, the guy fights at 160. That's Triple G's weight. For this fight, Canelo...
The French-Canadian guy?
Yeah. Canelo went up to a catch weight because Chavez fights at 168. For this fight, the weight limit was 164.
So, before we get into fucking weight cutting and all that other shit, which is inevitably where this conversation is going to go, if you or Andrew or whoever the fuck else is, all the fans out there, what is like the weight that people agree on that like this should have been at? If you didn't have the weight loss, like, you know what
it should have been at 168.
At Chavez's weight?
At Chavez's weight.
So that would mean what? Canelo would have to put on weight? What's his walk around weight?
Canelo doesn't have to do shit. Canelo probably walks around at 175 at the most. At the most.
Let's see, Canelo walk around weight. I wonder if it says that. Probably does. So, and he fights at what, 160 normally?
154 normally.
And so the reason for that, again, correct me if I'm wrong, since he's naturally 170, he has the body of a 170. But when he goes down to a smaller fighter, his punches pack more punch, right?
Yeah, well, he's a bigger...
Because he's a bigger person fighting smaller people.
Yeah, exactly. A bigger junior welterweight.
So then he should have just slimmed down a little bit to be more out. Okay, so let's go with this.
He didn't lose any weight for this fight.
Oh, I'm sure he just trained and naturally kept himself toned up or whatever.
Right.
Because I'm sure he needs to be. I don't know what the weight's going to be for the Triple G fight, but it has to be close to that because they're not going to make him cut extremely.
This is what I think. This is what I think is going to happen with the Triple G
wrong?
fight. They're supposed to fight at 160. They're going to do like a catch weight where it's 157 or something like that. So it's in between 160 because they want to drain Triple G if they can. It's not going to work, though, because Triple G has fought between 154 and 160 this entire time. Like,
He's also a beast.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just that. I mean, yeah.
Well, I know we got into this before.
Let's
still
just
feel
get
like
into the weight cutting thing that you don't fucking believe in.
No,
okay?
I didn't say it. No. Let's clarify, because I never said that I don't believe in it. Because I would be a hypocrite because I fucking see it in UFC all the time. So obviously there are going to be some translations between the two. What I said on Saturday night during the fight is simple. And I might be wrong, and I'll accept it because I don't box. I don't do that shit. I'm an observer. It's what I watch.
Have you ever cut weight?
Well, I'm not going to get into that. But that's an inside joke, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, Chavez did not show up to fight. Now, whether that's because of the weight drain where they drained him and he didn't have the energy or whatever, and he felt incompetent because he felt like if he tried to fight him, he was going to get knocked the fuck out or whatever, and he was playing defensive or something. Maybe. I'm not saying that that's not a fucking possibility. It probably is more than likely the real situation. But I'm just saying, though, it looked like, because you hear all about Chavez, like, oh, he smokes pot, doesn't take his training seriously, he lives in his father's shadow. You hear all this stuff, right? Correct? I'm right? Like,
yeah.
This is stuff that you hear about. Because he does live in his father's shadow, and that's not his fault necessarily. It's his father was one of the best boxers of all time. How are you you can't run away from that. You know what I mean? But it felt like...
Say Chavez one more time, I'm going to flip this fucking table over. It's Chavez.
Anyway, don't fucking take me off my point. I don't care what his name is. I'll fucking call him whatever I want. The other Mexican, the weaker fighter, the tall, skinny one. The tall, skinny one. He showed up for a payday. That's what it looked like. It looked like he was confirming all that shit was true. He doesn't give a fuck because you know what? I'm gonna make $9 million or more for this fight.
Maybe.
Because it didn't look. If that's your job, if you're full of pride, like if let's say the roles were reversed and they drained Canelo. Based on the way Canelo's fought, regardless if you think he's fought true competition or not, his fighting style is the same. He's very aggressive, and he's going to go out and try to like dominate you with his weak hands, as you like to say, right?
Pillow hands.
His pillow hands. Okay, but if the roles were reversed, you'd still see him throwing punches out there. He'd risk getting knocked out because that's just that's his pride. He has heart. He's willing to fight people. Maybe he waits. I still think the Triple G thing was not Canelo's fault in terms of it not happening last year. I still think it's like the higher ups.
Do you have a Canelo crush? It sounds like it.
I do like Canelo. I do. But that's not to say that my liking for him is because of that fact. Because when I watch a Mayweather fight, it's boring.
I'm just going to throw this out there, and this might be, someone could fact check it and tell me I'm wrong. But Chavez Jr. has had trouble making weight his entire career. He started at 154, and almost every fight he's been in, he's had to pay a fine because he comes in overweight. I'm thinking even at 168, he's had trouble making 168. Now, Canelo knew this. His management knew this, so they did a catch weight at 164. And what was the caveat about 164?
Well, according to Andrew, he said that for every pound that he was over, it was $1 million.
This isn't according to Andrew. This is confirmed.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I haven't read anything.
So
I'm looking at it right now.
over
MMA Mania. It says right here. It says blah 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 blah. There's a clause in their agreement that fines the fighters $1 million per pound of weight over 164.5. The ridiculously stiff fines may apply to both fighters, but are clearly included to keep Chavez Jr. from missing weight, as he's done several times before, and showing up to fights out of shape, as he did against Andrew blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to fucking pronounce his name. Canelo and his team have a huge interest in making sure Chavez shows up on weight. Canelo is moving up to face him at a higher weight than he's ever competed at. One of the points on this fight. Yeah, so there you go. I just said allegedly because I never read it before.
Okay.
I'm not saying he was wrong.
So the guy can't fight at his natural weight, at his weight class he's at, that he has trouble making in the first place, and you're going to suck him down another 4 pounds.
Well, I'm going to finish the article because it's going to go to what your point is. Chavez is allegedly, this was written on the 5th, so what, a day or two before the fight? Chavez is allegedly working hard on making sure he's on point and not out $1 million or $2 million. According to his trainer, Angel Heredia, Chavez was at 167 on Wednesday and getting by on 1,000 calories worth of strawberries and egg whites. Of course, an extreme weight cut doesn't guarantee Chavez Jr. will come in with the size and strength advantage. All too often, fighters that cut improperly end up sapping their endurance and affecting their ability to fight. That's what this article on MMAmania.com says. Now, again, my point still stands that, yes, I agree with this. There was no fucking heart in the game.
And that's the thing that you can't prove or not, is that he was so fucking sapped and out of energy that he couldn't fight. You know what a perfect example is? De La Hoya fought Pacquiao, the fight that retired De La Hoya. De La Hoya had been fighting 160 by that time for a few years now. He was already in his 30s. And to get that fight going, they made him go all the way down to 147. He hadn't been a welterweight in like 10, 12 years. That's how long it had been since he fought at 147. Well, he went down there, and he looked exactly the same way Chavez did. He could barely throw any fucking punches.
I remember that fight. It was boring.
He looked terrible. He couldn't fucking move.
It was embarrassing. That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is...
Look, I'm not
You're
saying...
like underplaying. And the reason why Canelo's getting criticism for it is because he knew exactly what was going on. He did it on fucking purpose. It was an easy payday for Canelo. You're calling Chavez because he didn't go out on his shield. Fucking Canelo made this guy kill himself just so he could get a fucking big payday and take advantage of all the Mexicans that are buying the pay-per-view.
Sure,
This thing's going to make over $1 million fucking
throw De La
pay-per-views.
Hoya in that picture.
Absolutely.
I would, because I mean...
Absolutely. This is the reason why no real boxing fans take Canelo serious, because every single one of his fights has been some sort of joke like this. And when he finally fought someone that's legitimate, he lost.
Who, Floyd?
Floyd. Exactly. He himself is kind of a trickster too. He does some shady shit too. The same.
No, I was gonna say about Floyd. No one's beat him, so it's hard to say. I mean, the biggest fight that I saw Floyd in, because when Floyd was fighting, I really wasn't into boxing, but I did watch Floyd fight De La Hoya, right?
Right.
And that was one of the few times where like Floyd was actually getting punched.
Right.
Like actually laying contact on his face.
I saw that fight in Vegas drunk, and at the time I thought De La Hoya won the fight.
Well, see, I didn't, but everyone else I was watching with did. And the reason why I didn't is because I felt like, yeah, his punches were landing, but they weren't doing anything. They weren't causing any damage to him. It was like, oh, you hit me. Okay.
I don't know. Mayweather looked pretty rough at the end of that fight.
Yeah, over the course, I'm just saying though, like that you can see that over time
But
as opposed to like in the
hit,
round.
You're saying he didn't land super solid punches.
Yeah, it wasn't like what did you say his name was? LeMahieu or what? The French Canadian guy? Lemieux. He was fucking that guy up, and you could see the impact immediately. Same thing with Canelo. He was laying down on Chavez, and you could see the impact. Yeah, he wasn't getting completely fucked up, but like you could see the effect of Canelo's punches on his body. Now, all I'm trying to say is, and if it's going to be attributed to this, I'll accept that it's attributed to the weight loss thing. Fine, I'll accept it. I'll say it right here and right now. If that's the reason, I'll stand by it. But he did not bring a show for the fans. Chavez,
No, he definitely didn't. Why he did, we don't. I mean,
exactly. If you want to attribute it to the other fucking whatever you want,
I told you already. Like I said, he did a lot of things wrong. He didn't use his size advantage at all. I thought at the very least he would be leaning on Canelo using the weight. He didn't look.
You didn't like the referees.
I didn't like the referee either. I thought every time he tried to get to work, the referee was getting there.
I still think that's because their heads were fucking rubbing against each other. You think it was different, but I think at the end of the day, it was not the fight fans were looking forward to.
Absolutely not.
Not even in the slightest.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
That could have been a fucking pre-card fight That's how shitty it was.
Absolutely. It was a terrible
an opening fight.
It shouldn't have been made. It was a gimmick fight. I bought into the fucking hype.
A lot of people did, obviously.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. I mean, I still think the weight was a major issue, and I feel like
it shouldn't be overlooked. It's definitely a factor. I'm going to concede to that. You're right.
And I was hoping that maybe the reason why it affected him so much is because he didn't start taking the weight cut serious until it was too late. You know, maybe it's not a gradual thing.
And so that's
that's a possibility too. I mean,
if that's the case,
this isn't absolving Chavez of anything. He's renowned for being,
and that's my biggest problem, dude. It's like when Andrew was saying that to me. Obviously, Andrew's not here to defend himself, but he's listening. If he's listening, he's more than welcome to come on to defend himself at any point. But what I'm saying is, when Andrew kept saying that to me about, have you ever cut weight? And I obviously shut me up because of course I haven't fucking cut weight. But to be fair, that's not my fucking job. That's his job. Chavez's job is to cut. The system fucking sucks. All right, I'm not saying it doesn't.
But everybody does it.
But that's your livelihood. You are aware of the factors. You're aware that, okay, you know what? If I cut weight this much, it's gonna affect me. So, like you said, if you decided to fucking cut weight on the last week, of course you're gonna be fucked up. But maybe if you train a little bit harder, it might fucking suck. You might not like it, but that's your job as a fighter to put forth that extra effort, right? Because if he loses the weight, but he's training at that low weight and he kind of maintains it, again, I don't know, but it makes sense in my head. If you drop that weight and you kind of maintain it over a period of time, your body's going to be more, I don't know, accepting of it, right? It's just like if I lost weight and you change.
Well, the other thing is, like, the older you get, the harder it is on your body,
of course.
You know? Like, that's why you're never.
He's also an athlete, though.
You're never going to see Conor McGregor at 145 again. You heard it here first,
folks. Oh, definitely not.
Because he looks like a skeleton.
Well,
he
looked like a Holocaust victim. Yeah. Straight up. Just it looks scary watching it, and not in a good way where like I'm intimidated, but it's like you need to go see a doctor.
Yeah.
And I've seen. That's why I said in the UFC I agree that the weight, and it's across both things, but you're never going to see Conor not show up willing to fight. Maybe you will, but I don't think you will.
Right.
Because it's his pride.
I mean, I love Conor, but that first Diaz fight, he did kind of give up when he put that choke in.
He got fucking rocked, dude. It's the UFC. It's different. It's
Diaz
a different
didn't
angle.
Rock him. He put him in a choke.
No, well, he dropped him.
He got him to the ground.
Yeah, and then his ground game was too much.
Well,
that's UFC.
I mean, the Diaz brothers have phenomenal ground games. But I'm
just saying, though,
Conor has no ground game.
So to close this all up, let's jump forward to September. Do you think this fight's gonna go on? I know it's official. I know they made a big old fucking WWE announcement.
Until I see it happen, I'm not gonna believe shit.
Who's your favorite right now?
Triple G.
Without a doubt. Like it's no chance.
And I'm not even a big Triple G fan. I feel like he's fought a lot of cans.
So predict the fight.
I think up until this point, I don't remember seeing Canelo getting rocked. So I think this is the first Triple G fight that's going to go all 12 in a while. I don't think he's gotten a decision in a long time.
So you think it's not going to end in a knockout either way?
I don't think it's going to end in a knockout. If it does, it's going to be a late knockout by Triple G.
You don't think Canelo has the power to knock out Triple G?
No, pillow hands.
What would it take to knock out Triple G if you're Canelo? Besides steroids and shit.
I mean, he'd have to kill him to the body. Like he'd have to hit him to the body enough where it started just breaking him down. Where in the later rounds he's just
popping off on his face. Yeah, he can't defend really.
Exactly, because he's like just lost the body shots. When you're, I mean, the body shots kill people. Like
Canelo does go to the body though.
He does. I mean, every Mexican fighter goes to the body. That's a part of being a Latino fighter in general. Like that's your bread and butter is going to the body. That's how they train you in Mexico. That's how they train you in Puerto Rico.
How do they train Russians? To just take a lot of pain and punishment?
He's not Russian. He's
from Kazakhstan.
He's from the former USSR. I mean,
that's what I meant.
They're a little more technical. He's good with both hands. That's the one thing is like both hands.
He doesn't have a power fist.
He's got power in both hands. He's really solid technically.
Not just power, but like knockout power.
Knockout power for sure. Like one punch power.
Yep.
He's not an accumulation puncher. He'll hit you one time and put you to sleep. But he's just really sound technically. I mean, he had over 100 amateur fights before he even went pro.
Well, Andrew said that he didn't look that well on his last fight.
No, he didn't.
I didn't see the last one.
Who did he fight last? He fought somebody good last.
I'll look it up.
Was it James Kirkland?
No, I think Canelo knocked Kirkland out.
It was somebody else. It was another black guy, and it was a black guy. Is it Devin Alexander?
I'm looking it up right now. Do you think the fight's going to be bigger than Mayweather and
No.
what's his name?
No. The problem with Triple G doesn't move the meter right now. He just doesn't sell tickets, man. That's a problem. So it's a big fight for hardcore boxing fans.
Do you think it's the biggest fight of all time?
No.
I think De La Hoya said
Oh yeah,
that.
he's gonna hype it up. But it's just for a casual fan, this fight.
Daniel Jacobs.
Danny Jacobs, that's right, Danny Jacobs. A lot of people think Danny Jacobs won that fight against Triple G. You know.
So do you? So you're predicting?
I watched it. I watched the fight like after it happened, so I already knew the result. I watched it.
So you were able to take a critical eye to it then.
Yeah, and I think Triple G won the fight. I think he won it in the early rounds. Like towards the end of the fight, he started losing some rounds, but it was a close fight. I think it was a 7-5.
It went full. It went full 12 though.
It did. And I think Triple G won that 7-5, and he won it. Well, not even 7-5. It was like 6-6.
Holy shit!
He got a knockdown. He knocked Danny Jacobs down. If he hadn't knocked Jacobs down, he probably wouldn't have won that fight.
That was the first time Triple G ever went 12 rounds.
Yeah, I believe
in
it.
his professional career.
I believe it. Yep.
I'm looking at all the
Jacobs is talented, man. Jacobs is a good fighter,
and
I feel like there was points there where Jacobs he needed to bring it a little more. Had he brought it more, he probably would have won that fight. But he kind of slacked off.
And Canelo is the second Mexican. He's only the second Mexican that he's ever fought. Not that that really matters that much.
No, it doesn't. I mean, Triple G's hits harder. He's the bigger fighter. He's more technically sound. It's just I don't know.
He's the 2 then, right? He's not the upside on this fight.
No, he's the B side on it. Yeah.
That's fucking that. Well, if he knocks out Canelo, he could be a star.
Oh yeah, he needs to.
It
needs to be, but if he does in the first round, it's not good. It's got to be like a
fight,
war,
and then
he has
to come out on top.
It's got to be a classic.
Well, then of course it needs to be, because then you have to have the rematch.
Yeah.
Because that's who Triple G is going to fight next. After this, it's going to be Canelo again.
Right.
You have to milk it, unless it's a one-sided affair.
Because there's nobody else to fight. That's the problem. Unless he goes up, he has to go up and wait to fight Andre Ward, and that's a big jump because Andre Ward's fighting at 175 right now. So
that'd be an interesting fight.
In the top, yeah.
Did he?
I don't know.
He won his last fight, right? Wasn't it controversial?
It was, but that's another fight that I think Andre Ward won. Kovalev knocked him down. Fine, he's the first guy to knock him down.
They fought twice, didn't they?
No, they've only fought once. They got a rematch coming up.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
But I've got to wrap this up, so.
That's fine.
Well, we will see you next time, folks.
That fight's on June 17th.
Next week, I don't know who we talking to, if we're talking to anybody. But,
I don't know. Zach fucked it up. We were supposed to
record on Saturday, but fuck Zach, because he's too busy going to fucking art and wine shows.
Yeah, art exhibits, bro.
Yeah,
4 hoes.
Fucking art exhibit going guy. Whatever. But you know the drill, dngtalk.com. We'll see you next time.
All right, ladies.